Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome and thanks for tuning in. My name is Dimma Umeh. So this video is going to be completely different from anything that I have ever done on this channel before. And it's on how I kind of almost failed my masters. I think that you guys need to know. And this whole, this video is on a topic that I have received so many questions on. And I was like, I might as well just answer some of the questions that I have received from you guys, but then package it with a nice juicy story as well. And the reason why I have decided to take this video on is that, you see people who leave Nigeria and go to the abroad for further education. You see them taking pictures in Nando's, McDonald's, Tard Road, Selfridges. You don't know that 80% of them are depressed. Yes, they are depressed. I don't really know if there's any research backing this up, but there's probably no research backing this up. But a lot of people live here, go to the abroad to get a master's degree and become depressed. I was one of them. You will get depressed at one point or the other. I did. So I'm going to tell you my story. So one of the most popular questions that I would get is, what uni did you go to? And I went to the University of Warwick in Coventry in the UK. And the second most popular question, no, this is actually not the second, this is the first question that I would always get when it comes to school, is what course did you study? And I did entrepreneurship and innovation. A lot of thought went into me choosing this course, and I'm going to break it down. Okay, around the time that I decided that I was going to get a master's degree in 2014, I was really into the social media thing. A lot of opportunities were coming my way. I was looking for a way to make my channel more successful and also just find a way to turn it into a revenue generating business. Okay, so I wanted a course that would let me explore that, and I also wanted a course that would let me do a lot of research on that area. But then I also wanted a course that if at the end of the day this did not work out, the knowledge that I had gained from it would be of benefit to me if I decided to do something else. Entrepreneurship and innovation is, a lot of universities offer it. I got my degree from the University of Warwick, like I said, but depending on the uni that you go to, the course is run differently. I had a friend who was doing the same course in Birmingham, and the way that they handled the course was completely different from the way that it was structured in the University of Warwick. But the main thing that I liked about the way that it was structured in my uni was that from the first day that you come into class and sit down, you're made to begin to think actively of a business idea, and they make you write a lot of assignments, do a lot of research based on that business idea. So at the end of it, doing a dissertation, you have to create a business model that works. Ideally, you have to create one that is feasible. If at the end of the day your model is not feasible, you don't need to lie and say that it's feasible, but just give reasons, based on your research, why this would not work out as a business. So I'm saying this because it's really important that you put a lot of thought into the course that you decide to do, especially a master's degree, because Nigerians leave this country in the thousands every year to get a master's degree, but a lot of them are just like, I feel like they're not well informed, because I ran into a lot of people when I was doing my master's that were doing all these courses that had nothing to do with business. And then when you begin to talk with them and you ask them, oh, what do you plan on doing when you go back to Nigeria? A lot of them wanted to actually start a business, but then the courses that they were doing was not in any way business related, so they go and they gain this knowledge in very niche areas, but then when it comes to actual monetization, I feel like a lot of them begin to struggle here. So that's the thing. So be careful what you decide to do, because masters is a lot of hard work for you to end up doing something that you are not going to use. So make sure that you're going to use the degree. Another thing again that I would like to highlight is that if you're leaving Nigeria for the first time to go get an education like me, because that was my case, my undergrad, I did it at the University of Nigeria Enugu campus. Just know that you're going to struggle at one point or the other. You're going to stumble, you're going to stutter. This is not to scare you, it's just to get you prepared, okay? Because a lot of the things that you're going to meet when you get there is going to be foreign to you. Even basic research, something like, the funniest part is that some things that they consider very basic, you have no idea. And that's where the depression normally kicks in, and you have to fight back. Research, referencing, finding quality academic journals, using certain softwares that a lot of people consider really basic there. We are not used to them, we did not do them. And it's because a lot of things here are still done manually. We type out our assignments, we are not required to submit any soft copy, so we're not used to softwares like Turnitin. There's this other one that we were using in Warwick, I can't remember what it's called, but I'm going to write it down here. So these are like softwares that go through your work and they highlight the amount of plagiarism and just things that you are not supposed to have done, and you might not even mean to copy, but then not paraphrasing properly. One of the biggest problems that I had when I started was paraphrasing. I didn't know how to paraphrase, and I'll just write the statements the way that I'd gotten it out of a material, and I'll just reference it and I wouldn't paraphrase. These softwares will flag me for plagiarism. Just know that paraphrasing is really important. Finding very good academic quality materials, academic journals when it comes to assignments is really important. Like I said, I'm not saying this to scare anyone, but these are things you should just be kind of prepared for, so that it's not so much of a shock when you actually start experiencing them. Take it easy and just try as much as you can to just be on your feet. Don't let any first few failures keep you down. My first PMA, I scored a 50. I thought it was the end of the world. I called my mother weeping. I just scaled through. But then after that, it gradually got better. It got better. And then towards the end, if not for some of the mistakes I had made in the beginning, I would have had an excellent result. But just bear it in mind that you're going to just experience a few setbacks. Be quick on your feet. Make friends with people who know what they are doing. Talk to them. Sometimes you're going to see that all you need at the end of the day is just someone to bounce your ideas and your ideas off of. Get good friends who will talk, because I made those at the end of the day in Warwick, and there were people who would listen to me. They were really very patient about my questions, so they were really, really helpful. They were open to answering questions, and pray as well. Don't let things get into your head and just keep you down. It's really important. It's really, really important. So don't be scared, but just be prepared. Okay, so my story about how I almost failed my degree, it starts. Towards the end of my degree, I had actually gotten better at doing research. Everything was just a lot better than it was when I started. So I wanted to do a really, really good dissertation, because the PMAs, the little assignments that you'd get at the end of every course, they were big, like 4,000 to 5,000 words, but they were only 5% of your degree each. And then your dissertation, your project, that's your research, that was 50% of your degree. So let's say you could get a B or even an A in every single PMA that you did, but then if you fail your dissertation, you've automatically failed your degree. I really wanted to get an A in my dissertation. I wanted to do a bombast dissertation. So I was taking my time doing everything, and I kind of left a lot of things last minute. That's one thing I'll highly recommend now. Don't leave anything for last minute. Don't be like me. Don't be like me. Let's say my work was due on a Saturday evening by 4 p.m. because that was the deadline, 4 p.m. on the day that it was due. So let's say Saturday. So by Thursday, I had actually finished writing, like typing out, getting all the necessary data, restructuring my work, and I left things like my conclusion and dedication and all these things that I considered minor. I left them for, like, let's say Friday morning. So I started writing them then. It took a lot more time than I thought that it would. That's where the problem started. So by the time that I had finished writing those things and restructuring my work, making sure that everything was within the margin and all of that, I decided to just proofread, and that was the biggest mistake. I was not proofreading as I wrote. I decided to proofread my work the night before it was due. So I started proofreading my work around 6 p.m. This was big. It was like over 25,000 words. I was like, I'll just quickly proofread it, go to bed, wake up Saturday morning, go print out my work and submit it. Story. Will you guys believe that I was proofreading my work from 6 p.m. Friday evening up until around 10 a.m. Saturday morning, and my work was due by 4 p.m. At this point, by the time I had finished proofreading, I had an appointment to print out my work with a lady by 10 a.m. on that Saturday morning. So by the time I was done proofreading by 10 a.m., the woman couldn't take me, she couldn't take my printing on again. She was like, she's fully booked and I had missed my appointment. So I had to go find somewhere else to print my work at. And there was no space anywhere in Coventry. Coventry is not really that big. Birmingham is like 15 minutes away from Coventry by train. And I was like, I'll just no worries, I'm not going to stress. I'm just going to take a train and go from here to Birmingham. Since it's 15 minutes, go print my work somewhere and then just rush back to Coventry quickly and submit my work. So I got to the place where I was going to print and I met some classmates. I met Fatima and she was there to print as well. Typical me, paranoia, I didn't go straight to printing my work. I started asking Fatima what they had done, what they had not done, what was this, that, looking for what to adjust last minute. So by the time I finished with all of that nonsense, it was around 2 p.m. at this point. I think it was around 2 p.m. I quickly submitted my soft copy online first to my supervisor, submitted it for the last time, and then I went into print. So by the time I was done printing, it was like around 2:30 to 3. So me and Fatima, we were like, okay, I've printed, let's wait for Fatima to print and then we'll both leave. So I finished printing, Fatima printed. So we were waiting for someone to send something to Fatima that she was supposed to print out. We were just there acting all cool and chill, like, we had time. Let's wait for this person to send their work across. So we were still waiting, and it was like 3 p.m. And I was like, oh wait, let me quickly check the train times. And then it dawned on me when I checked that the next train, the only train that would actually take us to Coventry in time for us to actually meet the 4 p.m. deadline, was leaving in 5 minutes. I told Fatima that I could not wait again. So I grabbed my dissertation, and Fatima at that point, Fatima was panicking, and Fatima gave me her own as well. She gave me her work as well. And then I was like, let me run and see if I can get on the train. And then I ran off, and by the time I got to the station, I had missed that train. At this point, I was really panicking. I called Fatima. I told Fatima, see, I have missed that train. Oh, I don't know what we're going to do now. She managed to finish printing the last thing that she was printing. So she started running out of the place towards the place where I was standing. But I couldn't even wait for her to get to me. I got into the first cab that I could find. Birmingham was like 30 minutes away from Coventry. So this was like between 3 to 4 p.m. And on a normal day, this journey would take you 30 minutes. Okay, without traffic. But this was rush hour. The traffic that we were in that day, it was from hell. We were stuck in Birmingham for over 30 minutes. Let's start from there. At this point, I had started crying at the back of the car. And I was not crying your normal like Ajibo crying. Oh my God. I was crying, Jesus, what am I going to tell my parents? I was weeping at the back of the car. At this time, Fatima had gotten into the next car behind me, and then she was also rushing to Coventry with me. So Fatima had gotten into a cab. She was behind me, and I was in the car. We were both going to Coventry. So Fatima was crying, and so Fatima is Hausa. So Fatima was crying in Hausa, and she was crying, and she was crying. And me, I was busy crying in Igbo, crying at the back of that car. Jesus, the cab guy was so confused. He was like, I'm sorry, love. I'm trying my best, love. And I'm like, please, can you keep driving, that I am dying? I'm about to die. I just kept seeing my school fees, over £10,000, dangling in front of me. I was crying. And for you to see how these things work, my father started calling me randomly just to see if I had submitted at that point. I did not want my father to talk to me crying, because I did not want anybody to add to my problems. I was weeping. I was weeping because what was I going to say? Do you know how much my school fees cost? Do you know how much? Lord. The cab guy kept apologizing. I could see him looking at me every 2 seconds from the rearview mirror. I was saying, Jesus, I know that I'm a sinner. I know that I am the worst person in this life. I know that I don't deserve anything from you. Jesus, forgive me. I was telling all the angels to help me beg Jesus. I was telling Mary to help me beg Jesus. I was telling everybody that I could please beg Jesus to help me beg Jesus, because I was screwed at that point. So at this point, what me and Fatima were doing would be that I would cry, we'll cry together, cut the phone, give ourselves like 10 minutes of crying on our own, and then we'll call ourselves again and begin to weep in common. It was a very, very, it was comforting actually to an extent, the weeping together, but then it was hard. So when I actually started calming down was when Mofe, one of our friends, Mofe, finally got to the faculty, finally made it to the faculty. And then we called her and she was telling us that, yeah, she's here to submit, but then there's a very long queue. Because like everybody was literally trying to submit at the same time. I was like, Jesus. Thank you so much. So there was this party that the faculty was throwing for us after submission. So you could see people decked out in their shorts. They were like really, really ready for the party. I was there with my glasses, puffy, swollen eyes, packed my hair. I told the cab guy to please wait for me, please don't move. I just rushed into the office. I submitted my work. The first thing I asked the lady was, is this considered late submission? Immediately the lady said, no, it's not considered late submission. I was like, Jesus, thank you very much. I just submitted my work. I did an about turn, left that office, walked straight into the cab. People were busy waving. I was like, yeah, see you later. I'm going to sleep. I sat down. I told the cab guy, just please take me home. The cab guy, I gave him my address and he dropped me off. And then I slept for 2 days. It was a really traumatic experience. Very, very traumatic. So after that, 1 month later, we were called in for defense, and I came and I defended my work. And I remember my supervisor asking me how well I think I did. And I was like, I just think that I did enough not to fail. But then my work was actually good at the end of the day. I ended up getting the A. I got a 78 in my work, which was what I was hoping for at the end of the day. And it's because I figured it's because of how personal that research was to me. I put in a lot of work and it paid off. I guess the moral of this story is to please don't be like me. Don't be like me. Don't leave your work for last minute. Try and get as much done as early as you can. They start telling you this from the first day of your degree, but then we tend to ignore it. I ignored it for one because I'm one of those people that I feel like I can get more work work done when I'm under pressure, when I have a deadline glaring at me, but then it's not necessarily good because you will end up rushing and you might not want to rush. So, you know, try to get as much work done as early as possible. If you guys have any traumatic or just really funny stories to tell from your uni experience, like schooling outside of the country, things you did not expect, please share in the comment section. I would love to read them. Don't forget to thumbs this video up if you liked it, and subscribe if you're not yet subscribed. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.